Mark Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
As far as settlements, I'd like to see you hold back on settlements for a little bit. We'll work something out, but I would like to see a deal be made. I think a deal will be made. I know that every president would like to. Most of them have not started till late because they never thought it was possible. And it wasn't possible because they didn't do it. But Bibi and I have known each other a long time. A smart man, great negotiator. And I think we're going to make a deal. It might be a bigger and better deal than people in this room even understand.
Donald Trump today asking Israel to hold off on more construction in the West Bank and some of the settlements, but hinting that they're on the verge of some sort of a major breakthrough in some sort of Israeli peace agreement with its neighbors. We don't know all the details of that yet, which is why we've asked John Decker to join us from Fox News Radio. John, I'm guessing heads are spinning after this news conference today.
Well, I was at the news conference in the East Room just moments ago. It concluded, and I can tell you when the president said what he just said, I think that the first person who seemed stunned by that was Prime Minister Netanyahu, who just arrived at the White House. These press conferences usually take place after the president has met with his counterpart. This particular press conference took place before they actually had lunch, before they were in the Oval Office, all the kinds of niceties that normally take place. So I think that he caught Prime Minister Netanyahu off guard with that remark.
Yeah, I heard him joke one time. Well, that wasn't a very strong response, and I guess he's holding back his cards. And Netanyahu joked that that was the art of the deal. I thought that was pretty sharp on his part.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. Pretty quick retort on the part of the Prime Minister of Israel, who I must say, I don't know if you watched the entirety of the press conference, but in all honesty, I thought the questions by the Israeli press were tougher than the questions offered up by the American press corps, which is disappointing to see. No questions asked of the president regarding the latest controversy concerning Russian involvement in the presidential election, perhaps leading to the fall of his national security advisor. And perhaps we'll get an opportunity later today to ask that question of the president. But today the questions focus squarely on U.S.-Israeli relations, focus squarely on the idea of whether a two-state solution can be agreed to by all the parties involved, and also a question to the president, Mark, about whether now is a good time to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And the president seemed to indicate that he's not adverse to that particular idea, but he said it's going to take some time.
Yeah, John, one comment that I heard that was quite frankly a little confusing, maybe you guys have had time to sort it out, was when they asked Benjamin Netanyahu about a one-state solution or a two-state solution, and he seemed to suggest that the only way there could ever be a two-state solution is if Israeli defense forces remained as the security apparatus in the other state. Did I misunderstand him?
No, that's right. I mean, you have to keep in mind that if there is another state, according to the way Prime Minister Netanyahu envisions that state, it would be carved around the various settlements that now exist in the West Bank. And, because these Israeli settlers have planted the flag there, they need security. They need security from Palestinians who wish to do some of these settlers harm. They do have security right now as it exists. The people that live there are self-armed as well, but that's something that the Prime Minister has spoken of before and reiterated during this press conference.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad to hear you explain that, because I listened to it and kind of shook my head because I don't think that's what the Palestinians have in mind here. So
no, it's not. They don't foresee those settlements as being a part of a Palestinian state. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu sees it quite differently, and he even explained the origin of the word Jew. It comes from Judea. Mm-hmm. Judea and Samaria. Those are the two areas in which settlements have sprung up in Israel, because Israelis, these settlers in particular, believe that this is land that, going way back thousands upon thousands of years, was their land, and they feel that it should be their land in perpetuity.
John Decker, I appreciate your report from the White House. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Take care. John Decker from Fox News Radio. He hit on a very important soundbite from Benjamin Netanyahu. I referred to this at the top of the show. It's one that I want you to hear. Because constantly these neighboring states refer to the Jewish state as occupying land that it doesn't have a right to. In other words, many of them believe Israel has no right to exist. And I thought Benjamin Netanyahu did an excellent job today answering that question. Listen to this.
And I suppose you have to ask yourself, why are Jews called Jews? Well, the Chinese are called Chinese because they come from China. The Japanese are called Japanese because they come from Japan. Well, Jews are called Jews because they come from Judea. This is our ancestral homeland. Jews are not foreign colonialists in Judea. So unfortunately, the Palestinians not only deny the past, they also poison the present. They name public squares in honor of mass murderers who murdered Israelis, and I have to say, who also murdered Americans. They pay monthly salaries to the families of murderers, like the family of the terrorist who killed Taylor Force, a wonderful young American, a West Point graduate, who was stabbed to death while visiting Israel. So this is the source of the conflict. The persistent Palestinian refusal to recognize a Jewish state in any boundary, this persistent rejectionism, that's the reason we don't have peace. Now that has to change. I want it to change. Not only have I not abandoned these two prerequisites of peace, they become even more important because of the rising tide of fanaticism that has swept the Middle East and has also, unfortunately, infected Palestinian society.
I've never heard it stated so clearly, and I was so happy to hear him use the bully pulpit of the White House to drive that point home today. The greatest analogy I can think of is if on a daily basis we knew that Canada, I know Justin Trudeau doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to ever do this, but if Canada decided the United States didn't have a right to exist because, like some of these crazies that are wearing little white pins that claim white privilege, that because we stole this land from Indians, we have no right to be here. If that was his position, it's hypothetical, and he decided to create a couple of missiles and point them at the United States that said death to America on them, and he maintained the position that America had no right to exist, how in the world would we have peace with Canada? Explain that to me. How could you have even a conversation with someone who doesn't think you have the right to exist? That's what's going on between these Palestinians and Israel, and yet the Palestinians think Israel should carve out a separate state for them to sit over there and lob missiles into Israel, where Israel gives up its ability to not only defend itself but secure those areas. It's crazy talk is what it is. And that's what Benjamin Netanyahu drives home with a statement like that. Why do you think Jews are called Jews? Why do you think Chinese are called Chinese? They're from China. We're from Judea. Great press conference. There's some more sound out of there, but I got a couple folks that have been on hold here for a while that I want to get to real quick. Joe, thanks for holding the line. You're on the air.
Morning, Mark.
Hey.
Maybe it's worth asking Catherine Herridge, because I know she has a history going back a few years in the theater over there by Libya, where Ambassador Stevens died. General Flynn was on the inside of the palace guard, so to speak, at that time, as were General Petraeus and what was his name?
Oh, yeah. I know who you're thinking of.
I'm going
the name's
blank.
Not coming. Yeah, the name's not coming. McChrystal.
All of these people knew what the Obama-Clinton orders were that ended up getting Ambassador Stevens killed. And I think they're they all had to fall on their sword as a result of what they knew, and they were chastised and essentially taken out of power because they knew so much, and had to lose their aura of respect. And they were made to lose it by Obama and Clinton.
Right.
So maybe Petraeus and McChrystal and Flynn belong on Mr. Trump's national security staff.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. I mean, I'll bring it up.
And make an interesting trio.
I've heard Petraeus' name mentioned as a possible candidate to replace General Flynn, although I'm not quite sure that wouldn't bring its own baggage because of his own problems with classified information. I'm not even quite sure why you would consider him because of his own issues with classified information. And yet at the same time, the people that are have the long knives out for Flynn are the ones praising these intelligence officials who broke the law and released this information in their haste to get Flynn kicked out of that position. Why? What are they afraid of? 314-969-9797. I'm going to go ahead and get to break because I've got Catherine Herridge coming up next. I want to make sure we got plenty of time to talk to her. You're listening to The Marc Cox Show.
You're listening to The Marc Cox Show. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
Fair amount of sunshine around on this Wednesday. We did have a cold front come through last night with a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, clear skies down to 29. Thursday, a lot of sunshine, light winds, cold start. Will be quite chilly going out the door in the morning, but warmer in the afternoon. The high Thursday, 59, 69 on Friday. I'm Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray for FM News Talk 97.1.
Families choose Parc Provence for quality assisted living with memory care. Your loved one will feel at home, enjoying a comfortable lifestyle while thriving in our engaging community. Residents at Parc Provence are our first priority. We help you enjoy peace of mind and get the most out of life because every moment matters. Go to visitparc.com. That's visitparc.com or call Karen to schedule a tour, 314-549-1050.
Can I tell you the greatest Valentine's Day gift that my wife got yesterday? Nope, wasn't flowers, and it wasn't chocolate, although she did get a little bit of that. It was the fact that the maids came to visit my house yesterday. Now, I know she's the one that set the appointment up, so the fact that it happened on Valentine's Day was not a coincidence, but it was probably the best gift she could get because she loves to have a clean house, and she told me yesterday that she's never had her house cleaned the way the maids clean her house. And she's pretty particular. She's got some high standards. Can I tell you that? So you walk in, you can see the difference in the floors. You can see the difference along the baseboards. You can see the difference in the kitchens and the bathrooms and the shower stalls. I mean, from top to bottom. And with those HEPA filtration vacuum cleaners that this team of 4 brings with them, they clean everything, upholstery, you name it. They annihilate the dust and the dirt and the allergens, and they help get rid of those bugs that might be hanging around, from somebody who's been sick in the house. They sanitize everything. Find out what the maids can do for you. Call them at 1-800-THE-MAIDS or go to their website at maids.com.
April 15th is right around the corner. And if you haven't filed your taxes or you're not planning to, you need to call me. Hi, I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, and my firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve IRS tax problems. The IRS has the resources and thousands of agents looking for non-filers and taxpayers who owe money. When facing the IRS, there is no reason to go it alone. Come meet with us at the Lance Drury Law Firm, and together we'll take control. We've handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in St. Louis. When you call us, your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call the Drury Law Firm at 314-238-7360. That's 314-238-7360, or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
This is the required weekly test of the Emergency Alert System. This concludes the required weekly test of the Emergency Alert System.
Hey folks, Allman here for Mid-America Arms, and I can tell you as an avid customer, these guys are awesome. I have